even come back in 30 minutes because you could just handle it. So yes, they can. We are here because they are two good teams. They've gotten all the way to the quarterfinals in this IPL5 qualifier number 2 tournament. I love how long that name is. So they have definitely shown their strength to get here, and alternate can come back. They just need to make sure that they're in the mood, they're ready to play. They have got the emotions down. They have got just what it takes to beat Fnatic. I mean, they're a good team.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they tried something a bit new, a bit off the wall last time round, and it had the potential to work. But exactly like you said, there was too many factors which are not reliable. You know, an Ash Arrow, if it hits, it's guaranteed. Dazzle, guaranteed. Kale Ultimate, guaranteed. To rely on all those displacement abilities and the assumption that 5 players are going to get 5 disruption abilities perfectly timed and in perfect sync, it's just a bit too much to bank on, and it ended up resulting in a strong Fnatic win. And Kale in the ban pool, I can honestly say this is probably the second or third time I've ever seen that happening.
We did see this at MLG Anaheim during the finals when Dyrus busted out the Kale for that last match against CLG North America. I like the Kale ban because they don't know how to deal with it, and they know that if they choose Kale again, it will be a problem. So they will have to learn how to deal with her. But right now they're like, we don't have the time to do that, so screw it. We'll get someone else. We'll just ban them. So actually, the best example of the guaranteed success versus not guaranteed success. Do you remember when Melisande got ulted by Gragas in that last game as Taric, and he just flashed at the last second and got pushed away rather than towards his team? Pretty much what can happen with such a risky team like that, and the good play from Fnatic just was able to take advantage of those small little weaknesses in the lineup.
Yeah, exactly what you mentioned. Now, the Kale being banned out in comparison to Soaz, you touched on the fact they don't know how to deal with it, don't know how to play against Kale. The thing is, you can't outban Soaz. Actually, if I think about it, you can't outban many of the players on Fnatic, or most of the top you've seen, in fact. Soaz, we've seen him playing recently. Needly, Darius, Kale, and there was a 4th champion who he did phenomenally well with, Olaf as well, in the top lane. And almost every single game I've seen him in that top lane, he's not only won his lane, but won his lane in style. It does, of course, come with a little bit of ganks and some assistance from Cyanide, which cannot be discounted. But Soaz is a really, really strong top lane, and he's got a lot of slightly less standard top laners in play. Other than Olaf, really, he does well with several champions.
You really need to be able to play at least, I'd say, 5 champions to go ahead and compete at this level. I mean, if you have 3 bans available to you, and then that last champion can be countered, which, in the top lane is incredibly common, you're not in a good position. So you need to have that wide variety of characters you can play, and it's good to see that Soaz has it. It doesn't matter that he has some offbeat picks, just because he does have enough picks, enough counter picks where he can justify playing such odd characters.
So final bans going out, Karthus and Soraka, and Urgot once again removed from the pool. Shen is available, however, so instantly locked in. And I'd like to see how Alternate want to play this one, whether or not they're going to give him to Cliff in that top lane and make him a tanky monster of a ninja, or if they want to give it to Unzo in the jungle, which we're seeing a lot more EU teams actually doing, favoring that Shen in the jungle type of build, much like the Koreans do.
Mm-hmm. I like it because it's safer. Shen in the top lane actually has a lot of risks associated with it, now that he has been nerfed quite a few times and people know how to deal with him. Like, for example, Vladimir will shut down Shen, and Shen does need a decent amount of farm to not die, and B, if Vladimir is going crazy, you're in a bad position. So they want to see what the enemy team will pick and whether Shen will work against that, and if not, toss him in the jungle, pick up a different top laner, and just be safer.
So that options, that the ability to swap him around wherever you want to, it helps quite a lot. And here we go, Nautilus not banned last time round. Oh, sorry, Nautilus was in fact banned by Fnatic last time round, and now it looks like they're going to be giving him to Cyanide. And I love seeing that because we know just how powerful Cyanide is with this particular champion.
Well, it could always be support Nautilus or top Nautilus, but it won't be. We can just say it won't be. Yeah, Cyanide is devastating. When he's given that underwater Seaman, and I don't know, Nautilus is weird because he is just devastating. He is so good at everything he does. You can shut him down in the jungle. He can be level 6 at the end of the game, but he will still have that hook, that root, that like two other slows that he also has access to.
And of
He
course,
is
all the
such
knockups as
a good
well.
character.
A
Oh yeah, the
well-timed death
knockup.
charge. You've also got knockups. So you've got so much things. This time around, though, Melisang going to be pulling out the Janna, and Tariq going to be sitting on. I think it was Fish who was the support for alternate. So
Is it Fish?
swapping supports
Fish
this
or
time around.
Graves? I want to say Fish. That just sounds more fun. But Terra Graves a much more standard composition than what we saw. Well, I guess Janet Urgot's not that uncommon. But Terra Graves is also standard composition rather than the Ashe Taric that we saw last game. Ashe Taric's standard to Fnatic, but not to really any other team. I do wonder if they're gonna, go for Tristana, which would not be the worst thing in the world. They do like running Tristana against Graves. Corki is actually a good choice. If they do see that stun come out from Taric, Corgi has like a million years to just press that Valkyrie button, get into a safe position, and it not die. So no Tristana, sadly. A big frowny face coming out because I do like seeing Lamia play Tristana. It is incredibly fun to watch, and I really coming out. I like that.
There was an awesome video on Reddit, I think it was today or yesterday, of an AP Tristana in the mid managing to just insta-nuke an Ahri, compliments of the rocket jump and a passive from her explosive shot. It managed, Ahri was sitting in and amongst about 15 or 16 creeps in the mid lane, and the passive from explosive shot blew all of them up simultaneously, melting Ahri's hit points from full health to 0. Really awesome video. If you haven't checked it, go Google it on YouTube. It's definitely worth a watch.
Wait, like, did she rocket jump onto them, or did she just like auto attack?
Yes, rocket jumped onto the creeps. So an AP with the Deathfire Grasp completed and Sorcerer Shoes landed that damage onto Ahri, and obviously the slow, and then the combination of that picked up a kill onto one creep, which picked up a kill onto the next creep, and that just blew up the entire wave. And literally that ability alone with the passive of explosive shot destroyed Ahri. It is a great little video to watch. And not a bug, nothing, it's just every single creep gets blown up. But we noticed Lamia actually picking a Leona for a second or two, and I thought that might have been trolling. Hovered back, ended up going with the Corki at the end of the day. And Pharrellian Lord considering going with the Cryo Phoenix.
The Cryo Phoenix, I do wonder how she should work in this composition. Nautilus is always scary as a Nevia just because a strong ganker can punish her early game. And of course, Nautilus does not care about your walls. I can just go through it because it is not a true wall. So Vladimir being taken, I actually kind of like this in a way because it means they can't counterpick Shen. But of course, this means that Vladimir can now be counterpicked. But Aurelia versus Vladimir is a pretty equal matchup. Now that mid laner will not be Ahri because she's banned out. They want to choose someone who can be aggressive against Anivia and hopefully support some aggressive action from Nautilus. Brand actually was going to say it could be a possibility, but it's not too popular lately. Oh, that would be a mean. Just like, all right, you guys ran Gragas and did the work. Let's watch us run Gragas and make it work. So Gragas was a a Shushei standard from back in the day.
Many months ago. I think that was DreamHack Finals where he really showed his stuff. I've actually got two particular kill sequences in my head of Shushei blowing up a Rise. They were playing on the right-hand side in the red team, and he used his body slam from the vertical grass in the river through the wall, explosive cast, explosive barrel, and just deleted a Rise. This is, of course, pre-tanky Rise, but I still remember the sequence, and that was what made me fall in love with the fat alcoholic champion.
My favorite, I think, was actually the old Fnatic composition of Ashe, Anivia, and Gragas. It was so strong. And Ashe ult lands on someone. They get Gragas ulted back towards their team. The wall pops out behind whoever the Ashe arrow hit. They are now stuck. They are now dead. It was awesome. It was so cool to watch. But unfortunately, the Gragas top lane no longer too effective because all the top laner bruisers over there will kill him so hard.
And Peke locking in Kassadin. Kassadin versus Anivia can go well, but if Anivia gets ahead, it can lead to some pain on Kassadin's part. And of course, he does need a few levels before he's able to trade effectively against Pharrellian Lord's Anivia.
The pressure will be really high from XPK early just because that's when he needs to apply it. Like, once Anivia hits level 6, XPK can actually interrupt the combo really easily, but it's going to be very easy for F-Lord himself to go ahead and get a reactive RE combo. So, well, you know the skill names. What is Glacial Storm into... Oh, Frostbite. I know the skill names.
Yes. Well done. I noticed the other day there's a severe lack of knowledge on my passive names. I have no idea what the passive names are for all of these champions, so I'm very disappointed with myself. But I will learn them.
Rebirth and True Grit are the ones I know for alternate. Tailwind and Tailwind are the only ones I know for Fnatic.
So taking a look at the rune page, Cassidy this time round, he's opting to go 28 AP at level 18, 15 at level 1, and opting to go for 13 armor as opposed to that full ability power per level. So we're seeing a slightly different rune page from Cassidy when he's facing off against Anivia as opposed to the previous game. So small change, and we'll see whether or not that bonus armor is going to help him out. I believe Anivia's actually got one of the longest auto attacks in the game. It's just one of the slowest animations.
It is slow animation, very low base damage too, but it's still 600 range, so it's going to be more or less free harass on the Caston. Every time he wants to do any sort of CSing or anything that involves melee range, a stone ball will hit him in the face.
So as is runes, if you take a look, I love this little thing that's now popping into the trend, that single blue attack damage rune that bumps you from sort of, rounding down to 15 to rounding up to 16 points of damage and loses just that tiny little bit of MR per level.
And actually, this is just straight up MR. So going up against the Vladimir doesn't want the MR per level. He wants the defensive aspect of those blues right away rather than waiting till later on when it will be somewhat effective, if he gets the MR per levels. But he needs the help now. So that top lane, I think a good, really, where does Cyanide go? If he gets a kill early in the top lane, it'll be huge. If he gets a kill early in the mid lane, it'll be huge. Same for bot lane, actually, but bot lane always tricky to gank because those wards are just kind of, sprinkled everywhere. Like Pixie Dust, I imagine, if Pixie Dust were a thing.
I always imagine that they look like Christmas trees. Every time I see those little red and blue dots, it always reminds me of Christmas lights. So I am, of course, I'm stealing that line as well. Somebody had said it somewhere else and said, I'm not happy with the map until it looks like a Christmas tree. So
the bot lane, which will always be a Christmas celebration.
But there's definitely something that has to be said for Cyanide's ganking of the bot lane. In terms of all the junglers that we see out of EU and all of the champions that are played, I do feel that Cyanide is one of the stronger players at actually successfully pulling off ganks on that bottom lane. We've seen in the previous game a great flash impale from Unzo, but every time I've seen Cyanide playing Nautilus, I have seen him successfully move into that bot lane, follow up a depth charge into a dredge line and actually secure those kills. So whether or not he can land it this time around with the dazzle and the quick draw that Taric and Graves are going to have available will remain to be seen, but we've got some awesome skins in this game. The only one that's not running a skin is Mr. Taric. Oh, and Vlad, of course. Sorry, I did not see that. But the Harbinger Cassin, as we've seen previous game. I'm not a fan of Warlord Shen. I don't like the flag. It annoys me.
I don't know. It really doesn't need the flag. Put the flag back, Shen. You don't need to carry it with you. Ninja teams are not common, so if you're not representing anybody, nobody's gonna have those skins for the same match. Come on, put it back. Let's do it. So about that bot lane gank, so what's really cool about bot lane is how weird and stupid it can be. So if we look at Taric's item build, okay, he went for wards build. Taric's at late game been going, boots, 2 wards, boots, 1 ward, 2 potions. People will forget that if the reason bot lane is hard to gank is because there's a support who put those wards everywhere. When teams see that Taric only runs, with 1 or 2 wards, that lane becomes gankable. So every now and then you'll see a trend where Taric will start getting less wards, then he will start getting ganked a lot, and the next game you'll see Taric pick up 3 wards just because they don't want to die. So bot lane will just be very chaotic with that. I do like when they can abuse it, but as you can see, with 3 wards, one of those being a vision ward, it's going to be really hard for Cyanide to get into that bot lane.
And neither team opting to go for any sort of invade at all just yet. We do see a red ping there onto Taric. There is no vision available from Fnatic, but they're pinging multiple times. And there's a little ping coming out there from alternate now onto the red buff of Fnatic. So a defensive, a slow start, neither team wanting to give away anything early. And you can't blame them for that. This is, of course, the round of 16. So but that's not quarterfinal, is it? Yes, it is, because the 16 teams...
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so this is
It's top 8. It's top 8.
It is top 8. Yes, you are correct. So top 8, in fact. The winner of... Sorry, math is not my strong point, guys. That's why I talk,
Don't know if that was math, necessarily.
Oh,
but
yeah. Don't rub it in. Don't rub it in. The winner of this game is going to face off against Moscow 5, and that game is scheduled for tomorrow evening. If Fnatic are victorious, I believe it's scheduled to kick off at 5 p.m. If Ultimate manage to come back and win these next 2 games, it will then be kicking off at 8 p.m. That will be confirmed by the IPL admins a little bit later, but I'm fairly confident that's what's happening.
Yes, I believe that's it. I'm gonna have to wake up at 8 a.m. if Fnatic wins, so I guess I have to root for alternate.
You see, my money sits with the Fnatic camp because I'd like to have dinner with a girlfriend, so I'd like to go home early. But it is up to this game. It's up to alternate. They cannot afford a mistake. This is 100% live. This is, of course, game number 2. And if Fnatic win, they earn them spots in the semi-final. Will remain one of 3 teams potentially qualifying for IPL5.
Team Mega Shock being, you know, the big bad boss at the end of this tournament in a way.
And look at the damage that's already been put onto Pharrell Lord. But XPK has used all of his mana to do so.
Desperately waiting for that level 2 just so you can get that point into Nether Blade. Let's say Void Blade, but that point Nether Blade will just be huge. That mana regen from every last hit will really build up, and F Lord actually has to try and pressure him, not let him get any mana back from auto attacks. Because as you can see, the damage is high, and here comes Cyanide actually going to go for this gank.
Oh, are we going to see it? There goes the Null Sphere, so that means there's no flash available. Beautifully done. Cyanide just waiting too long on that dredge line. Should have opted to pull it closer on the top lane now. Oh, beautifully done from Soaz. The Blade Surge onto Unso, the very millisecond that Unso, in fact, moved forward. Now the dredge line lands onto Pharrell Lord. Riptide comes out. Null Sphere gets popped. 1 or 2 more attacks. That red buff was ticking, but not enough damage to get through the health pot. And now Unso is going to try set something up. But Pharrell Lord playing dangerous now. We've seen more pressure. Cyanide is now the one that's in trouble. He's turned the pressure around. That Titan's Wrath is up. Dredge lines himself to the Wraithful. Manages to get past the Flash Frost as well. Peke, no mana, so he can't use those Frost. The Riptide now goes out. Unzo did manage to pick up that kill. And in the bottom lane, there's aggression as well. These teams really wanting to play hard. Lamia taking a lot of damage. The Shatter, Eye of the Storm goes up to hold him, but there's no sustain in that bottom lane. So Lamia and Melisande, a little bit worse for wear.
Having to burn potions ASAP.
Take a look
as
at
mid lane.
Yo, so low.
Katzen not wanting to use Ignite, just actually want to save that for the egg so he can burst it down super quickly. F-Lord, though, he's actually in opposition. He wants to play safely to keep his egg alive, but doing so, he's going to get zoned out, actually has to go ahead and retreat. So Katzen taking a dominant position in this lane, applying the pressure early like he needed to, and he has a CS advantage. Kassadin has a CS advantage. How often do you see that?
Yeah, especially at this stage in the game, the wave is also pushing naturally towards Peke's side of the river. So not only does he have that CS advantage, he's going to be able to play a little bit more defensively for the next couple of minutes, because there are a couple more creeps bashing down, and this is huge. The fact that his tank minion has now been killed off, and the enemy, what is that actually called? It's not a super minion. What's the little tank minion called?
Cannon minion?
Cannon minion. Thank you. That was the name I was looking for. You know, pushing down his lane. So a little bit of safe farm for Peke. That's going to help him out. And we'll see if we can put that DPS back down to Pharrell Lord.
Cyanide is actually looking at Friend Lord, trying to get this gank off. He is going in right now. Oh, the Dredge line misses, the Flash Frost lands, and Friend Lord just walks right out of there. Nice and calmly.
I like what I'm seeing from the junglers at the moment. Unzo's now sitting in this top lane. Was thinking about recalling he's lost both blue and red buff. And Cliff is going to be able to just hang around, tank up these minions for a little bit. Soaz is now potentially considering. There goes the Blade Surge. Now that it's not available, the Shadow Dash Taunt is going to come out. That's going to hold Soaz in place. This might be first blood. Soaz, the Ignite is down. He's turned the attention to Cliff. If he gets that Blade Surge up, it might be enough. Summoner Heal gets blown by Vladimir, and that's going to be enough to keep him alive. And Alternate doing exactly what they need to do in game number 2, opening up with first blood, and it's on Vladimir as well. So a little bit of gold, a little bit of items. He may be able to pull ahead in that lane just a little bit.
Now, what's scary about this is, if you look at the gold difference, right now, Alternate's only ahead 200 gold. So they were behind about 400 gold, maybe 500 gold, before that gank went off. And a lot of this is going to be mid lane with a Kassadin versus Anivia. Anivia will eventually be safe, but if they can't take control of that lane, if Kassadin cannot be stopped, he will just farm his way to victory. Kassadin, one of the best late game characters in the game, and if he gets free from the mid lane, he is almost unstoppable.
Yeah, a farmed Kassadin is almost as effective as a fed Kassadin, because you just cannot mitigate that damage, and the natural survivability and kiteability with that Rift Walk is just so good. And Peke doing really well at controlling his lane, in fact, because he's been sitting on his side of the river for the better part of the last 3.5, 4 minutes. So, really nicely done, allowing that lane to push. Not only is he allowing it to sit in his favor, he's got a 13 CS lead. Now he's losing a couple of creeps to the tower because, of course, he is a little bit low on HP. And if he eats a Flash Frost as well as Frostbite, that could be enough to pick up the kill. And Unzo setting up in this bottom lane. Are we going to see another kill on behalf of Alternate?
Melisande is very low, so this gank will probably be successful if he can split up the tower damage appropriately. Fnatic's done it, it's their turn now.
So nicely done. Lamia, he is going to use that Valkyrie to get away. Exhaust is down, reduced to 170 damage, and effectively, Valkyrie plus Flash, too strong. He manages to push himself away from safety. I think maybe not really going for the right target. They should have maybe tried to lock up Janna with the less natural escapes.
I will say though, that was an amazing tornado from Melisande. They actually interrupted the Shen taunt. So they were going to land that, and had it landed, that would have been a kill, but, Melisande's like, nope, get up in the air, Shen. Taunt nothing, taunt the sky.
And it does end up leading into a blue buff steal, so 300 gold difference at the moment, that blue buff removed from Peke. It ends up going to Unzo on Shen, so he's going to be able to use that to farm a little bit faster, farm a little bit more effectively. You can see he's already 13 CS behind Nautilus, but a 5-man Fnatic pushing for very early Dragon. And I don't think Alternate can do anything about this because they have nobody nearby.
Did Shen use his smite? He did use his smite. This was actually spotted by Fnatic with their ward placement. So they saw the smite go down. They assumed the enemy team would be retreating. But even without that smite, they had the advantage. And of course, what do you do after you get a kill like that and after you steal a blue buff? You don't only go back to buy, especially because Corki himself had to buy after that gank. So they want to stay even in the lane. Fnatic, knowing this, took it. Took the dragon, and they're actually ahead in gold now.
And great map awareness, great game sense as well. And exactly like you said, seeing all that vision, a little bit of a interesting ward there from Castan. That'll give entry, of course, vision into the entry of the red buff. But I feel that was just a tad short. He does have that Tear of the Goddess completed as well, which is what we see in the very last round. He uses that Rift Walk into Null Sphere, and he's hitting Pharrell Lord really, really hard right now.
Brennan actually rushing himself just to get the extra MR, and of course mana regeneration on Anivia. He needs to find a way to deal with his pressure. As you can see, XP just goes forward and doesn't care. Awesome. So this is actually a good reaction. This might be enough.
And he's going to carry on pushing the auto attacks now. Ignite onto Xpeke. That should be enough to pick him down. Pharrell Lord does get egged in the background. Cyanide now bashing him away with that huge anchor. Depth charge is available, so that's probably going to be tossed down in just a few seconds. Really nicely timed. He's burned his flash already. Now he's the one that's in trouble. Flash Frost is going to hold him up. Dredgeline should be available. He's going to pull himself to safety. Long range auto attack. Long range auto attack secures that kill. And that was so well played by Pharrell Lord.
That's almost like a banana coming out. That is like the banana of AP carries mid, because 75 attack damage at level 7 is so low, and that is such a slow projectile. Great kill. Cyanide trying to push it to the limit, and he did. Except he went one auto attack past that.
Ooh, Stand United actually gets used there by Unzo. He's going to pull forward now to Soaz. Just from some aggression from Soaz. No Ignite, no Transcendent Blades used. But Soaz just bashing away on Cliff, and with that Sheen already completed, he's pretty much able to 1v1 Vladimir without much trouble at all.
I do wonder, where does Shen actually spawn when he uses his ultimate? Or not spawn, but teleport to, in relation to the player. I actually wondered about that, because had Shen teleport to the other side, that would have been at least a landed taunt. Not necessarily a kill, but some successful aggression. I do wonder what actually determines that. There's a way to manipulate that, because doing so could be huge. Because sometimes you just want to get in there just to get a shield and get away. Sometimes you want to turn around and kill someone.
I'm fairly certain it's behind the champion. I'm fairly certain, but not 100% on that one. And yeah, at the moment now it's just slowed down a little bit. Even with the 3 kills advantage, they're only 600 gold ahead. So that dragon has balanced it out quite nicely. And Pharrell Lord landing some really, really good damage onto Peke. He's got that blue buff ticking as well as the Chalice of Harmony. So his mana regen is going to be huge.
A Frostbite landing without the slow on the XP led to like the lowest damage Frostbite I've ever seen. It was so depressing.
Yeah, you need that secondary proc. You know, you need to have that. Is it chilled? I think it's called. It really has to be applied.
It's chilled, yes.
Yeah, to deal that bonus damage, of course.
So after we're trying to get his XP to chill out, XP having none of that though, casting a very aggressive and mean person. He is putting a lot more pressure on. I like it. Cassian is still getting a decent amount of farm. He's actually very good at lasting underneath the tower because of that Nether Blade. So he can push up, but that won't actually stop X because he's trying to apply damage and go for kills instead, which he's somewhat effective at. So I'm glad he's reached this point in the game. He's no longer being bullied by that Null Sphere and actually has a good reaction.
Yeah, he's landed a couple of very nice Flash Frost into Frostbites as well. So, you know, we've caught it on stream just once or twice, the exchanges. And all of a sudden now, Anivia the one that is looking very, very scary. Farm-wise, 100 for Graves, 90 for Corki. Top lane, 90 for Vlad, 90 for Aurelia. Mid lane, 62 to 65. You can see how much of a difference all that poke and that pressure is showing. 30 CS difference between the carries. Jungle, of course, 50 to 64. So, small difference there, but of course, Cyanide rocking out those boots of mobility. We're probably going to see several more ganks now coming out of the, what did you call them, the underwater seamen.
That may be the worst name ever. Aggression coming out on a cliff in the top lane takes just a Blade Surge and some hit and style procs from Soaz. Going to heal that up quite quickly. The Vladimir lane's interesting because you need to get him low enough to execute him, and if you don't, he just heals right back up.
And of course, he's got that Hextech Revolver, so the burst damage that's going to come out from Hemoplague is going to give him a nice chunk of HP as well.
It's really actually important to hit as many creeps as you can just so you get the extra AoE heals. A Hemoplague hitting, you know, one person is going to be kind of crappy because it's an AoE, doesn't benefit that much from Spell Vamp. If it hits 7 minions, though, that's huge.
And look at the gold difference. Even with the dragon in their favor, you know, it's only 200 gold that separates them. So is now under a little bit of trouble. He's going to be able to effectively just walk away, in fact. Does land the taunt. Now he's turned the pressure back into Unzo, and just two, you know, one auto attack, one ability, almost able to even up the trade between the champions. And he's hitting so hard. Pecky in the mid lane, though, he does have blue buff, but look at the damage Forellian Lord is applied to him.
So with that 3 kills, that's going to be about, well, one of them was unassisted, so maybe 1,600 gold in favor of alternate, but then you factor in that they did pick up the dragon and they do have a CS advantage right now on Fnatic. That will actually increase lead by just enough. And actually, Xpika can cut out one more time. Anivia does have the Ignite up, does not actually land it, would have killed Xpika. Really unfortunate as he goes in for that last bit of CS.
So lucky. Xpika gets away with about 90 hit points. But as soon as they see that recall, pings onto Dragon, and the millisecond it spawns, Unzo's in range. So, great play from Alternate. Not only did they know that the Dragon had gone down previously, they knew exactly when it was going to respawn. And after seeing the recall, they've now pushed in. But now Fnatic are considering this dive. This is a 3 versus 4. Anivia does have the wall available. Lamia putting some good damage, in fact, with that Phosphorus Bomb. Now they're going to commit to this fight. There goes that Glacial Storm. Smite ends up being picked up by Alternate. Cyanide ends up giving up his life. Depth Charge was casted, but it didn't pick up anybody. Unzo's going to be the next one to fall. That kill goes to, in fact, Lamia's Corki. Now he's turning the attention to Moonilol. Phage procs are ticking a little bit away. Xpeke needs that Rift Walk available to really pick up another kill. It is now available off cooldown. Rift Walks forward. Force Pulse was there, but not going to be able to push further forward after that. So 1-for-1 exchange, but Alternate did pick up the Dragon.
And as it happens, So is actually going crazy in the top lane, almost taking out Cliff, so this trip might go down, or at least taken low. A great, just, you know, organization from Alternate. They were going solo in that mid lane. They sent Xpika back, they took that Dragon. They did go 1-for-1, but there was no Oracles lost, there was no big trade-off aside from the kills. So, overall, well played. 1-for-1, but you get a Dragon? I like it. And
no buffs traded either. I was just taking a look. Kasten does not have his blue buff refreshed, so neither jungler actually had those buffs up. Oh, look at that. The Stand United, in fact, saves Fish. One more auto attack is what's required. Xpeke might go down before he can pop the egg. In fact, he manages to not only pop the egg, but he manages to Rift Walk away in what appeared to be the longest range Rift Walk I have ever seen. That looked huge.
And unfortunately, the quick draw from Fish was actually not enough to get over the wall. He would have been able to just execute Kasten at that point, just shotgun to the back. Always a terrible way to die. But he was just out of range to get over that wall, so the emotion being fished a bit too much. Need to wait that half second.
And farm-wise, the game is bang on even. With the exception of our junglers, Cyanide is slightly ahead of Unzo. But every single lane is sitting about even. The difference is, of course, that Forellian Lord has 2 kills and assist, in comparison to the single lonely assist on Peke. Cyanide now, he is wearing that Oracle's Elixir, so if he does go down in the next big team fight, that's 400 gold that's going to be lost. Fnatic's wards are pretty good. They see that the blue buff was being donated to Flawed, Mr. Ferelin, and he's now in that mid lane. Chalice, once again, he's got the Catalyst, the Protector, and that blue buff ticking over, so he's going to have a whole lot of mana for a very long time.
Bot turret does go down after some pressure from Unso, just taking a lot of quirky bolts to the face. Gonna heal up in the jungle ASAP. XP trying to steal Blue Wraith from Flor, which I love. I love that just aggression. Like, you think this is safe, but I'm just gonna mess with you because I can. Does not take it in the end, but I do love the pressure.
And it doesn't feel like the game is snowballing just yet. While, you know, Alternative made a few more plays, they've got the kill advantage and a little bit of a gold advantage. Fnatic aren't necessarily out of it, you know, at the 17-minute mark.
Oh, actually, I had to interrupt you right now. Down in the bot lane, Lamy is actually trying to take down Fish. The exhaust does land. He has flashed away. The alternate used by Melisande, trying to pick him off. Fish does go down. Like you said, it's not snowballing.
Yeah, well, that was exactly it. You know, like in the previous game at 17 minutes, you know, if you were a betting man, you would have put every cent you owned on Fnatic. This time around, even though Alternate have the lead, Fnatic have contained the pressure, as it were. You know, they haven't just completely been decimated by the plays, and I don't know if that's maybe to do with the fact that Unzo, yes, he's ganked, he's been successful at ganking, but Cyanide just pulled off a few more aggressive, successful ganks in game number 1.
Just like, it was aggressive, successful ganks, like you said. One of the big things was that top lane snowballing, which has not really happened. Vladimir is good, but it really is very hard to snowball against. So even though that First Blood went to Cliff this game, it's not the same as First Blood going to Soaz on Kale versus Jogath. So the matchup is just much more equal. The picks are stronger from both teams, really. There is no amazing counter pick from Fnatic, but they do have a much more solid lineup. And of course, Alternate not relying on displacement so much. So it's better picks, and of course, they're both really good teams. One misstep, and there will be a huge punishment. As Fish actually, once again, in the bot lane, just getting murdered. Here comes Send United from Chen. Will it be enough to actually save him? It is not. And missteps like that will be huge, just going out without your support, getting bursted down by a Yordle on a Manatee.
A Yordle on a Manatee. It's entirely accurate, and obviously one of the best skins. Mr. Earth there. Now we do see some pressure in this middle lane. Expecki opting to go forward. Rebirth not actually available for Ellen Lord. Almost using that crystallized wall to keep Pekka in. But he was able to just be on the max range of that one.
And Speaker casually walking through a wall.
No worries. But at the moment, Lamia, Trinity Force already completed. Berserker's Greaves on that single Doran's Blade. Does also have 500 bucks in the bank. So probably going to pick up maybe a Vamp Scepter, or just save up towards that BF Sword. We'll just have to see what he opts to go for. Soaz in the top lane also has enough money to finish off that Trinity Force while I'm waffling. Ferelin Lord is now going to go down. Egg was not available, and it must have been so close. Ooh, my mouse has just died on me. There we go, it's back. It is back, somewhat.
Cool. That gank, by the way, mid lane was pretty much just Cyanide walking through the lane saying what's up and killing Freddy Lord. F-Lord. I will not pronounce that name well. But F-Lord does die unfortunate, and the goal difference now 100, now dead even actually, so never mind that 100. It's actually looking very scary for Alternate, just because once a team gets behind, it's usually hard to catch back up. So they were ahead, they lost their advantage for whatever reason, and if they cannot fix that reason, they will stay behind.
Alright, do me a favor, we are on directed camera, my mouse is freaking out a little bit, so I'm going to quickly unplug it and plug it back in. Studio, you're flying solo for a moment.
Okay, so the Hemoplague is used on Soaz, trying to just regen from Cliff. Not a lot done with it though, so Soaz knows he can pressure, won't have to deal with that ultimate. But that heavy sustain from Cliff is still amazing, and every Q he gets off on a Soaz is going to be that much more time where he cannot pressure. XP is going to walk right into F-Lord. He lands the silence, the shield manipulation stops all the damage. Unso does not actually get the taunt off from a great Rift Walk. The chase is on, but not a whole lot being accomplished right now. Unso taking a bit more poke. They're just going to go ahead and ward this area. Dragon is up. Both teams are trying to fight this. The Oracles is going to be huge on Cyanide if you can actually safely get close to a ward to actually take it out, which, with this pressure coming into Dragon, you can. This is going to be a 5v4 if Fnatic does decide to fight it. They are in a good position though. They're all mostly at full HP except XPK, who has that mobility. The stone lands on Lamia, going to stop some of the pressure. The Ice Wall is out. Top turret goes down during all of this. There's a lot of damage on the alternate. Lamia does get hit by the taunt. The poke on F ward is huge. He does have his rebirth up, should survive if it comes down to that cliff, trying to do what he can, gets exhausted, but pulls away. It's a lot of pressure. Both teams are not really able to fully commit. Cliff does finally go down until being chased out. Fnatic has turned around this 4v5. Actually, they're just chasing down the rest of alternate. Moonilo in a bad position. Double kill for XP. Now F4 trying to do what he can to escape. Does get egged in just the worst corner of possible corners. Fist trying to finish off someone. Gets a double kill right now. It's a 2-for-4 exchange. The Dragon did go to alternate though. They can pick off Melisande maybe. Nope, we do have XP hanging around though, trying to get some burst if it does see an opening. No mana onto Fish, can't really chase. A second turret has been taken by Soaz as all of this goes down actually. So overall, 2 turrets for a Dragon, 2 turrets, 4 kills for a Dragon, and 2 kills, way in favor of Fnatic. So what we were saying earlier about the lack of snowballing, not really there anymore, and that was significant lead in Fnatic's favor. That fight was interesting. Fnatic knew they really could not get the Dragon. They were trying to maybe get Cyanide close enough. The Nibia wall would stop that. But once they finally finished Dragon, so much poke had gone on out of them from Corki, from XP, and actually that's it, because Melisande and Cyanide don't really have poke themselves. But just so much damage went out, and even though they did catch Lamia, the protection was there. They were able to keep him alive long enough to really just take everybody out. That follow-up from Fish was awesome.
And
they won first down.
I managed to watch Xpeke right near the end of that fight as well. His Force Pulse, not only was it super effective, it landed on multiple champions, and he's actually almost going to steal that red buff. But Anzo, too strong with that smite timing. My mouse is back and under control.
Welcome back, mouse.
So 32,500 gold. Fnatic coming up very, very well ahead in that previous fight. And look at the itemization from Lamia, opting to go for that Lost Whisper as opposed to like a Bloodthirst or Infinity Edge. And we do see aggression in the top lane. Hemoplague onto Soaz, and he's immediately just going to flash over the wall. That Eye of the Storm is going to block out so much damage, and Soaz not even afraid. Now he's actually going to come back into this fight, lands the Equilibrium Strike. While I'm watching that, Graves and Taric managed to pick up a kill onto Corki. Xpeke is waiting for his cooldowns. He needs them available. He's going to be able to Riftwalk back and pick up this kill. There goes the Riftwalk. Dazzle does land. And Fish ends up shutting down Peke's killing spree.
So that gold difference was about 2,000, and it's actually equaled out to about 600. So both teams getting a little bit ahead, but just good plays in response, taking out that gold lead. And actually, that's what happened earlier with Fish. He went out without his support. Melisande was not there to back up Lamia this time, and guess what? Lamia died. And by the way, Moonilo doing a great job trying to stay alive, because he knew that XPK could probably get the damage off, but he needed to at least get one stun off. That would be enough to finish off XPK. So doing whatever he could to stay alive. Actually, the dive mid lane.
Great Flash Frost coming out there from Freljord Lord. Literally predicting exactly where the dredge line, in fact, was going to go. And Cyanide somehow managing to get away with his life in another max range Frost or Flash Frost there, landing on Lamia in the background. But I don't think there was any vision for alternate, so he needed to. He was able to just walk away with his life.
That was actually just used to clear up the creep wave, do some damage, push faster, and it's like, alright, there's a Corki there too. Free damage, cool.
And the farm in the game is actually really, really high as well. Now Xpeke is starting to fall behind Anivia. Obviously post 6, Anivia is able to farm so effectively with that Glacial Storm and that Flash Frost. So 30 CS difference there. And it is balanced out though, because in the top lane, Soaz has a 30 CS lead. In the bottom lane, there is a 20 CS lead in favor of Fnatic. So overall, there's a pretty strong farm advantage on the side of Fnatic. Junglers ahead, carry top lane ahead, and AD carry are ahead. And it's adding up now, of course, with, even though they've missed, I think it's 2-1 in terms of Dragons, if I'm not mistaken. 2 for alternate, 1 for Fnatic.
Yeah.
So global objectives, and then 2-2 in terms of towers. So the game is still bang on even, but alternate need to get a good team fight. Alternate need to get a team fight that they can walk away with a couple of kills without losing anyone.
What's going to be huge, actually, is when XP picks up a Quicksilver Sash. At that point, it's going to be so hard to control Kassadin, and he actually does have some items to back it up. So it's not like he's just going to be a Kassadin who can't be killed. He's going to be a Kassadin who can't be killed and does amazing damage. I don't think it'll be his next item, but if it is, actually, let me hitting Kyle in the mid lane. Takes a bunch of bullets to the face. Unfortunately, this is not real life. Fish or Lamia does survive.
Xpeke stealing away the big wolf there. Rift walks away. Manages to get himself to safety. And Fnatic at the moment playing what looks like a bit of a divide and conquer. Not really 100% sure where they want to go. The silence goes out into Anzo. A very, very nice Rift Walk over the wall there. That looks like it's about a max range Rift Walk. Multiple pings from Fnatic. The River Vision, or the Ward, is here at the blue buff. Once again, just pings everywhere. Both teams just feeling one another out, waiting for something to take place. Peke with the vision from the creeps put some free damage into Anzo.
I have to say, XPK's Rift Walks seem to have an extra 50 range somehow.
They look huge!
Yeah. I don't know if he's just clicking at the edge of the circle, or if he... I think he maximized from the walls.
Oh,
actually, the initiation onto F-Lord.
He gets completely melted and egged, blown up before we can even say any of the announcements. A Hemoplague does land, but unfortunately there, that was a mistake from Alternate. They didn't know what they were doing. They thought Fnatic had fallen back, and they just walked in, face first into a bush with no vision. You cannot afford to face check at this level of gameplay.
Actually, that was also just an amazing positioning from Fnatic too. The way they were positioned, if you can, I don't know, if you can look at it, it's actually like just above blue buff. They were right above that wall. You could not be revealed by walking into that bush. They only were revealed when they finally came out. So to actually see them, they would have had a round under the second corner. So it wasn't even bush checking. It was bush checking by a wall that they had to check around that. So just great positioning, just keeping super hidden from Alternate. And now they have a Baron buff. Now they have a kill. Now they have a 3,000 gold lead. As XP, I think missed a Rift Walker, is just building up charges. I don't know.
Well, that is a very nice taunt coming up from Anzo. I don't know how on earth he predicted that one, or it could have just been a taunt into the grass, actually. Making sure he's got that damage mitigation down. We do see 4 members of Alternate coming up. I don't think the Dragon's going to survive long enough for them to get there. So Drake does go down. That Riftwalk is charged up just a little bit. Aegis of the Legion has been completed on both sides, in fact. And, actually, no, I'm lying to you blatantly. It's only sitting on the Fnatic side. Warden's Mail sitting on Shen. He's almost towards that Wit's End. He's got the Giant's Belt as well. A lot of uncompleted items on the jungler of Ultimate.
Mm-hmm. Not sure. I guess the Warden's Melt might just be to the attack speed slow. People actually forget about that, but, attacking someone like Shen when he doesn't have orb items isn't that risky. All of a sudden, if Lamia tries to attack Shen, he has to deal with that Warden's Mail slow, which is very significant. 20% chance on being hit is common when you're hitting, 2 times a second, a time and a half a second. What's his attack speed at right now? Only 1.2 times a second, so not that fast, but still. Every 5 seconds, he should more or less be slowed. And actually, if you look at Cyanide, he rushed to Force of Nature after that Aegis, which isn't too common. I guess he just wants that move speed, and frankly, he's having so much trouble dying right now. He catches out a minion.
He's going to get stunned up there. Cliff is just going to get melted. Once again, a great Hemoplague, but it's too little too late. And you got to give credit to Mr. Soaz. 289 CS at the 29-minute mark. He is farming like a boss. Trinity Force completed, Wit's End completed, Negatron Cloak, and 900 gold in the bank. Becoming an absolute monster of an Irelia. And Irelia is one of those champions that you cannot afford to give items. You cannot afford to get to the late game because it's just so unstoppable. Good ward placement here, and 5-man Fnatic going to push down this tower.
I have to say, I love what Soaz did during that big team fight at Dragon, where he took 2 outer turrets during that whole process, not even coming close to the fight.
And look at the pressure now. They've committed to this dive. Anzo's the first one to be targeting. I don't know why you're targeting Shen first. Aurelia in the background somehow flashes away with her life, down to 200 hit points. Peke now sitting alone. The tower is now down. Depth charge lands onto Fish. Rift walks over the wall, then flashes right back in to get back into the fight. Manages to pick up the kill with, I think that was a Rift Walk or a Null Sphere. Double kill for Peke. And Fnatic just so strong at the moment. 7,000 gold lead. Waltzing in, taking an inhibitor. Almost manages to pick up a kill onto Mooney Lol. Dredge line, that was a bit of a prediction dredge line, but Cliff not actually walking in the direction of the giant anchor, so he does not get caught, doesn't get locked up enough. Fnatic should be able to take out at least one of these, potentially both towers in fact, or this could actually be the game.
We're going to watch that Nexus for its HP, I'll call it out.
Well, there we
Down
go.
to 4,500, 3,500, 1,500, and it is dead. Fnatic take game 2.
Fnatic with what was effectively a quick 2-0, 22-minute game and then a 30-minute game. They never really looked like they were in trouble. Admittedly, Alternate got off to a good start in game number 2, but it didn't really go anywhere. It sort of fizzled out after 15 minutes.
I mean, Fnatic, they have the experience. They know how to catch people off guard. That Baron catch was huge. The game ended, what, 2.5 minutes after they got Baron? It was just very well played. I loved it. It was just such cool positioning, and unfortunately for Alternate, they didn't know what was going to happen. I don't know if they've even dealt with a catch like that where people hide behind a wall. So they now know about that. They now know they have to watch out. Well, what if they're behind that wall and not in this bush? But overall, Fnatic, they played super well. They're going to be able to, go ahead, face off versus Moscow 5. It's going to be a hell of a match. I think Moscow 5 recently have the wins, but Fnatic, every time they play, they look stronger than the last time I've seen them.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's interesting to point out as well when you consider that they're now playing with Melisande. Now, admittedly, Melisande has played with them many times before, but they've been playing with Phylox for the majority of the better part of the last 6 weeks, gone to land with him. So just swapping out that support, Lamia with either player in the bottom lane is doing really well. So Fnatic qualify for the next round. We're going to throw up some advert breaks really quickly, and when we're back, we'll wrap up the event for the evening.